It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. The way we do that is we ask you to go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and send us a note. If you'd like to join us on the air live, just check the box. Mark will do everything else. And of course, while you're on the website, check out all of the content that lives there. We've got the free weekly newsletter, comes out every single Friday. Let's get started with Edward, who's on the line from California. All right, Edward, what's going on for you?
Well, as I think I wrote to you, I'm sort of on this, what I call a short horizon planning for retiring. I'm currently 51 and I work at a large public research university and was thinking about wrapping things up in about 3 or perhaps 4 years. I wanted to go through some of these things with you and then perhaps just see if maybe the devil's advocate you could play, or just, tell me if I'm overthinking.
That's fine. I mean, because sometimes people come on and we're like, what are you thinking so hard for, where everything is good? So You're 51, you work for a large university. Are you married or single or partnered?
I am married, and my husband is already retired. So he is just nearing 60 now. So he has 2 pensions.
Oh, I love him. He sounds very handsome.
He is actually very handsome and very, very lucky. So not because of the pensions.
Okay. That's just me talking. 2 pensions. That's great.
And then I will also have a pension as well.
What is the total amount of his 2 pensions? And he's receiving them already, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
and how much is that?
Just about $16,000 a month.
16,000 a month is his 2 pensions?
Yeah.
16. That might be the highest we've had yet.
I'm so happy right now. I think we had
He worked very, very, very.
Whatever. I don't care. I'm not judging it. I don't care. What is your pension going to be? Let's say, should we say in 3 years, or do you have to wait for a certain period of time? What's the pension amount for you?
No, I mean, I technically could leave now, but I don't quite feel ready to. But
let's do the now number just for the heck of it, for fun.
The now number, I actually haven't calculated that because I won't let myself think about it too much. I believe you called it the one bad meeting club.
Yes, one bad meeting away.
Yeah, but in 3 years, it will be about $5,200 a month.
$5,200 a month. Okay, so here's my very, very sophisticated question for you. Can you guys live on $21,200 a month?
I mean, yes, I think we already do now because I put about half of my salary. I mean, this is what I take in now because I put so much into our mandatory pension, and then I've been maxing out both a 403B and a Roth 457.
But so let's just cut through for just to start our conversation. You know that in 3 years, that $21,200 a month for you guys is sufficient to cover your needs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to guess that you probably have a few $1 million that's in retirement accounts between the two of you, and you've got assets. And so what are we talking about here? What are you freaked out about retiring?
I think it's part that and part, I mean, you put so much time and so much effort and into such a career, and then to leave it is sort of, like jumping out of the airplane. You can't jump back in.
I understand that.
We will move, for me, back to Europe, for my husband, to Europe. And obviously currency fluctuations and things like this. But it just feels awfully strange to think about leaving at, your mid-50s. And I wonder, I mean, have people regretted this? And are there things I should be thinking about?
Well, okay. So let's just do a couple of other things. And I'm going to get to this because I think what we are really talking about is something different in your situation, which is like, what is my identity without this thing called work? That's a real deal. Like, that is a very important thing. Knowledge workers have this very difficult transition to make, which is why dumb people like me just say, oh, just keep working. Like, it's not actually that's not the right advice. It's not just to keep working. It's to understand what's the identity that I'm going to create in the next chapter. So let's just talk about some of the money stuff first. And then we're going to go into, then we're doing a big therapy session. Okay. Then are you down with that? I mean, I'm a nice Jewish girl from New York. What could be better? This is it. This is really this is my wheelhouse, man. Okay. How much money do you guys have in pre-tax retirement accounts?
In pre-tax retirement, we have approximately 750.
Okay. And do you have Roth retirement accounts also?
Yes, we were just able to start that, I believe, this year through mine. So there's not very much in it. There's probably like 15,000.
Mm-hmm. Do you have brokerage accounts also, like just taxable brokerage accounts?
We do. We have about another, I believe it's about 250 to 300 in that.
Okay. And money in the bank, like very boring money.
Yeah, boring money, probably about 60,000 between different
And
things.
How about real estate? You own a home in California still?
Yes, we do. We own a home in California. It's very difficult to say how much it's worth, but I think a conservative value is maybe 850,000.
Is there a mortgage on the property?
There is, yeah. It's about 420, but it's at a very, very low interest rate. My husband renegotiated that a few years ago, so 2.25%.
Oh my gosh. Okay, great. And do you also own property in Europe or not?
Yes, we do. We own a home outright in Italy, so that's worth about 300,000, probably, exchange rate.
Okay. When you move to Europe, would you sell California or keep it?
Yes, we would absolutely sell it. Neither of us want to be involved in managing or having property managed and all this.
Okay. And would you change the Italy residence? Would you want to upgrade? In other words, are there any, besides just being able to capture, 400 grand of equity, do you think you'd want to upgrade in Italy or not?
Yeah, we think we might, maybe not with a sense of urgency, but, eventually we would probably want to do that and then sell the home that we have here.
So what do you think if we have the current home in Italy worth 300,000? How much more do you think you would so I'm going to have $400,000 of proceeds from the house. What portion of that do you think you'd want to spend on a new home?
We would probably spend most of that, I think.
We'll get back to Edward in just a minute. If you've got a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com. Upper right-hand corner, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show. We are taking questions from you about anything going on in your real life, your financial life, anything that's bubbling up. Let's get back to Edward from California. We have our $750,000 pre-tax. We have our Roth 15,000, brokerage account 250, 300, the bank account of 60. And we know that you're going to have pension income. What is the Social Security benefit going to be? Are you entitled to Social Security or are you entitled? Okay, so what does that look like?
So I have done the estimate already because I've become a U.S. citizen. So my estimate from Social Security is about, I think it's about $3,400 a month once I'm 67.
Okay. And his?
He has reduced because of working in public service, and it's, I think, about $1,000 a month is a very conservative estimate.
Okay. So for all intents and purposes, I know that you know this, but just to state the obvious, you guys are really in great shape. Do you have a sense of, it's hard because you're not in Italy full time right now, but do you have a sense of how much you'll need to spend annually?
I think, yes. I mean, I've estimated this rather conservatively for the necessary expenses and then, of course, lifestyle. So I think it comes to about, in US dollars, about like 12,000 to 13,000 a month.
Okay, so here's the easy answer to the question is, of course, you know that you can retire, okay? Because his pension, even if after taxes, even if you get killed on taxes, because you're expats, you'll have $21,200 coming in. That is more than enough to cover your 12 or 13,000. Regardless of currency risk, you're fine. Okay.
Okay.
Now, see how easy that was? Okay. Now, I think there's a few different things to consider. The pre-tax money, you're not really going to touch. He could, in the pre-tax money, is that mostly yours or his or a combo?
It's a bit of a combination. And that's also, I mean, we're assuming 3 more years. So that will go up quite a bit more since, I'm contributing, as I said, like both the maximum on the Roth and the pre-tax side.
Okay. I mean, you'll get whacked a little bit on required minimum distributions. You can do different things about that. Okay. I'm going to give you some choices. None of these things are going to matter in your life. Okay. So you can say, hey, you know what? In the years before Social Security kicks in, let's start pulling some of the money out. So you retire in 3 years. Okay. You're 54. You're not touching yours, but his money, you start to pull out a little bit every year because you say, I just want to pull it out. We'll pay the tax on it. We'll move on. Okay. That's one choice. The second choice is to not care that much. When he turns 70 and a half, you can start doing qualified charitable distributions. You can give whatever your actual required minimum distribution is. It's not going to be more than $100,000 in a year, but you could actually use your retirement accounts, your pre-tax retirement accounts, to fund charitable stuff. If you're charitably inclined, that's another choice.
Yes, okay? That is something we think about.
So that is a really wonderful way to get money out of those accounts without having to pay tax on them. I mean, you're just going to be in a high tax rate for the rest of your lives, right? And that may be the very best thing to do, frankly. Look, if you feel comfortable right now in terms of these numbers, I think that, like, really you can't make a mistake. The numbers are not where you're going to make a mistake. However, I hear in your voice and what you've articulated is something that we hear all the time from people, which is, well, I've never retired before. How does one do this? And so what is it that I think is kind of limiting you in your excitement is that you're scared. And everyone's scared because you're making this massive transition. You've never done it before. So could you maybe do something where you feel like you can maintain your identity or your relevance, where you can get something out of that? So what is it that you get from work? So I'll give you an example. My brother-in-law just retired like a year ago, and he said something so fascinating to me. I said, what do you miss about work? And he said, you know, what I really miss is I miss the mentorship. I miss having a group of people that I help, and that really made me feel good. So one of the things that he's been doing is he's been teaching English as a second language And he loves it. And he's sort of been helping not just with language, but also helping people with like their resumes. And somehow or other, like that is kind of a replacement for that feeling he felt like that he lost in his career. And I think that when you find something that replaces your identity in some way, that the feeling you got, it's not the same thing, but the feeling you got, then that's really where I've found that most people are really happy in their retirement. They're really feeling fulfilled and they're not killing themselves anymore, right? You work really hard, but that you feel like that sense of this is why I'm here today, that it makes up for it. Also, you don't have to do it 5 or 6 days a week. You can do it a couple days a week. So is there something? Yeah. So tell me about the thing. What's the feeling that you get when you're like, I've been at this large university for so long. Like, what is it that you think you really love to do there?
I mean, I do really enjoy the contact with students and the sort of, it's sort of an energy that brings, as well as in my research and in publishing and, the sort of community of scholars that maybe are outside the university proper. But in the wider community. And I've seen some people very successfully transition to this. I don't know. Maybe I just don't trust myself as much as I should.
Well, I mean, you could certainly continue to do some of the advising work, or you could certainly, I think that like, you don't have to feel like the pressure to publish, but you could affiliate yourself with a university in Italy and sort of get that kind of generalized feeling, and maybe not at the same level, but at different level. And maybe that's something that would be really exciting for you.
Yeah, I mean, I am actually, since we're here often enough, I've developed some rapport and was a visiting professor also here. So I have, quite a few contacts.
But how is your husband going to feel about that? Like, let's just be clear that you have to do something that is like consistent with what you guys see as this next chapter.
He's actually, I think, even more enthusiastic about it than I am in many regards. The quality of life is actually quite a bit better, I think, in many regards. And there's no perfect place, and there are problems here as well. We've spent a lot of time talking about this, and we are back and forth. We spend a lot of time in airplanes, right? So 4 to 6 months here, and then 4 to 6 months in California.
Look, I think that you are absolutely in beautiful financial shape. There will be no mistake that you could make. I mean, I guess you could make a dumb mistake. You could say like, I didn't spend $700,000 on a house. I spent $1.5 million. But even that, I can't even imagine. You're going to be in very good shape. Your job over the next 3 years, even if it's 2 years, is to start thinking about how would I spend my days for ages 55 to 65 or 55 to 59, whatever you want to do. How would I like to spend my days? And what is the exciting thing that gets me like sad about leaving work now? And what could I replace that with? That's what your goal is. That's your off-ramp goal. Because just stopping cold turkey, that's no good. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we are talking about your life and any big decision that's going on that might impact your money. And so we focus on your life because it's not generally just a financial show. You'll hear when we talk to so many of you that we're getting involved with some of the background of the decisions you're making, why you're making them, some of your goals. And that's why we encourage you to get in touch with us directly by going to jillonmoney.com and clicking the Contact Us button so you can tell us your story. And of course, while you're on the website, check out all of the content that lives there. We've got the free weekly newsletter, comes out every single Friday. There are links to buy my book, The Great Money Reset, and you can check out our service called Jill on Money Live. For $35, you have access to quarterly live webinars, special bonus video content, and we just did a banger of 2 episodes for Jill on Money Live with Heather Schreiber. She's a Social Security expert. You can only see that full interview by joining Jill on Money Live for $35. Okay, right now, let's get to an email. This is from Morgan, who writes, I'm 85 years old, and I've got all of my money and investments and checking in one brokerage firm. I have a paid advisor who's independent, but handles all with that firm. I'm relatively satisfied because I can't worry about it anymore. God, I love you, Morgan. And he says, I'm past worry. Is this a good strategy? I see some CDs that are still offering over 5%, and that's not bad. I can never be sure I would get 5% on the investments because they vary so much. They jump all the time. The economy is going to H in a handbasket. Inflation reigns supreme. What's your opinion? Can we rely on the market? Okay. There are a lot of questions here. So let me just unravel these. If you're 85 and you've got all the money you need and you've got plenty of income and you want to reduce the amount of risk that you are taking in your accounts, then it is perfectly reasonable to talk to your advisor and say that you don't want as much risk and you don't want as much money in the stock market. That's number one. However, if you are feeling like I just want to pull everything out and get 5% on my CDs, know that that's going to only last for a short period of time because the Fed's going to start cutting interest rates and there will no longer be 5% CDs. So maybe it's a bet against the clock for you. Maybe you say like, well, I'm only going to live for 10 more years. So maybe I'll just do 6-year CDs and I'll ladder them. So you can do a lot of different things to reduce the risk. But if you're also thinking that you're investing not so much for yourself, but for your heirs, then I would stay invested because, the time horizon's longer. But if you don't need to worry about that and you've got plenty of money, if you've got Social Security and pension income, and this is a big chunk of money and you don't want to worry, then tell the person who's helping you out, the paid advisor, that you want to take less risk and call it a day. I don't think the economy is going to hell in a handbasket, okay? I think the economy is slowing down. Inflation is slowing. But yeah, prices remain higher. Mark, I did some deep dive this morning. I went into the Federal Reserve of St. Louis database and then also went into the government database to look up inflation rates over like the last 10 years. Really interesting stuff. In case you think you're a little crazy just about prices, et cetera, is I did see that I went back 5 years and I said, okay, if the inflation rate is slowing down, what's that really mean? Where are prices? Prices are about 23% higher than they were 5 years ago. Now, just to put that in perspective, if the economy had been operating at the Fed's target, like the inflation target, we would just see that prices would be 11% higher. They wouldn't be lower, everyone. So prices go up. We have inflation, but we are running at 2 times the pace that we would have seen if we never went through this big spike. So that's what you're feeling, Morgan. The economy's not going to hell in a handbasket. I promise it's not. All right, let's do this one. This is from Denise, who writes, Hi, Jill. I'm desperate to figure out how to protect my retirement fund. I have $665,000 in an IRA with a brokerage firm, and I think that I pay 1% to have the money managed, but I have no idea about how to make sense of the statements. At our last meeting, the advisor had shown a projection, but declined to share it with me after the meeting because, quote, it's proprietary. What? This made me wonder why I can't just move my money to an index fund and lower my cost. I have no way of knowing if my investments have performed better under the watchful eye of the broker. I know you must answer this question all the time. Will you please answer it for me? You ready for her background? Denise just turned 60. She's been on long-term disability for a few years. She has a modest pension and will have a modest Social Security allowance in old age. She owns her home. It has about $750,000 of equity. Wow, Okay, so it's more than $1 million with a mortgage. She's got a child with 3 more years to go at his pricey liberal arts college. She says, I can't afford any missteps. You know what? First of all, I understand that it is a little daunting to have the money going out, that 1% a year, right? So you say, what am I paying $6,600 for every year? Now, if this person were willing to share with you all the information and look at the future and help you create a game plan, then I might say the 1% is worth it. I don't understand the idea of a projection that is proprietary. I've never heard of an advisor saying to a client, I can't give you this projection. So this also, it raises a flag to me. I think that what you may be interested in doing, as we just talked about, is either shopping around or maybe going to some sort of automatic platform that also offers some advisory services. That may be the ticket for someone like you. You may want someone to hold your hand. I think that many big firms out there are offering people like you who have $500,000, $1 million. So you have a lot of money, but you don't want to pay 1% for that. There are so many places where you can find people who are certified financial planners who will help you do your projections and also manage your money. And I think it's a fraction of the price if you were to look around a little bit. So I hope that that helps, Denise. And I really do wish you all the best.
If you've got a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. We do that by helping you get where you want to go, or at least know what your choices are. If you've got a question, go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. While you're there, check out all of our content. I would love to point you to our YouTube show. It's called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. Such great stuff coming from the Compound Gang, so you can check that all out through that link. Right now, let's take an email. This is from David.
Hi, Jill. Last year, my dad died and left me and 2 siblings about $40,000 each in a transfer on death account, and then $150,000 in a beneficiary IRA account. We've all decided to stay with the same advisor our dad used at blank blank. I'm not even mentioning the firm, okay? For various reasons, I want to take this money and put it somewhere else. I just don't know the best way to go about leaving the advisor. I don't like the concept of paying a percentage of the account value for very little advice. Fee-only advisors seem to be a more fair situation to me. Besides those previously mentioned accounts, I have about $1 million in my 401k at work and a couple of rental properties to consider. I'm 51, so hopefully retirement is not too far away. Thanks for any advice on how to find an advisor with whom I could feel comfortable. Mark, I'm thinking that maybe we don't need an advisor for these accounts. I mean, you get $40,000 is in a savings account. So pop that into just a general money market account, unless you already have a ton of money that's in savings. You mentioned $1 million in your 401k. You didn't mention any other safe money. So maybe that transfer on death account, you just take that and buy some CDs or make that your emergency reserve fund. As far as the $50,000 from the Benny IRA, which would be your third of the $150,000, why not just open an account anywhere where you can buy a couple of index funds and call it a day? And then by the time you retire, you can start thinking about combining those funds. And, you know, frankly, not knowing about the details with the rental properties, maybe even that Benny IRA could be helpful in that you
you're 51 now, but maybe in 5 years, you say retirement's not too far away. So 5 years, 10 years. Within the next 10 years, don't forget, you've got to take the money out of that beneficiary IRA account. So maybe you start using that to bridge the gap between working a little bit less and maybe your tax bracket will be lower. But, the way to do it is to just do it. And I don't even know if you need fee-only advice. It does not necessarily seem like you need advice. Sounds to me like you just need money management, which you can do yourself. And if you're not comfortable doing it, then do one of the automatic investing platforms. They're really very easy to do, and they'll put that money on track to get you where you want to go. All right, this is from Marty, who's 52 years old and self-employed. Okay, Marty writes, I've tried multiple advisors since I've been in business over 30 years, and everyone I find just put my money in mutual funds and falls asleep. Isn't that the case, boy? Most years, I might have made 4%. My money did not double every 10 years. The first investment I made in 1998 in a Roth IRA mutual fund for $2,000 is worth $5,000. How is that possible? 1998 to today. Come on. Impossible. Anyway, poor Marty writes, it seems to me every advisor just wants to build their portfolio so their percentage every year goes up, and they really couldn't care less about the clients. Do you have advice? I do have advice. Okay, gang. The idea of putting money to work in 1998 versus today, it's so different. I think I'm going to write about this. I was just asked by someone else. There is something magical about the world of robo-advisors. There really is, meaning that for a lot of people, if you're just putting money to work and you don't want to be on the hook for picking which mutual funds, which index funds, which ETFs, in what combination, you don't want to do that. You can hire an advisor that is an automatic advisor, meaning you plug the money in, you tell them what you're doing, and boom, the money is invested on your behalf, trying to reach the goal that you have articulated. The idea of paying somebody just to pick some mutual funds, I guess, is a little bit of like an old-fashioned notion. Listen, I got into the business in the 90s. That's how I made money. That's what you did. You picked mutual funds for people because people didn't know how to do it. And the idea that we always talked about back then was, we'll invest your money, and by the way, we'll also do full financial planning for you. Unless you're getting full financial planning, there's no reason you should pay this much money. So you can go to any of the big investment houses and look at the options for an automatic investing platform. And again, the algorithm, the program will take you through questions. They'll find out what you're trying to do. And that is simple. And it's going to cost you maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of a percentage point every year. No, it's not zero. Zero is kind of what it would maybe be 5 or 10 basis points if you did it yourself. Maybe you don't trust yourself. But I think that more and more people really need to look at Marty's situation. If you're feeling that way too, that someone's just kind of asleep at the wheel and not doing the job for you, then get rid of them. Have someone else do it. And if that someone else is an automatic investment platform, all the better.
If you are wrestling with a big decision in your life, maybe you're thinking about a new job and you want to run it by us, Mark and I are both certified financial planners, so we'd love to help you out. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back. You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we are here trying to help you navigate your financial journey, or really just your life journey, with a little bit of assistance from two certified financial planners. That's me and the best executive producer in the world, Mark Talercio. If something's going on, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. If you want to join us on the air live, just check that box, and Mark will do everything else because he is the best executive producer in the world. Okay, right now, let's do this email. It is from Elizabeth, who writes, I've been given the option to take a lump sum distribution of a pension instead of a monthly payment. I've been advised that if I roll it over to an IRA managed by a financial planner, they should be able to consistently yield a 5 to 6% increase to the principal, thus growing the fund and giving me more flexibility for providing for my surviving family members. Your thoughts as to the advisability of this strategy would be great. Well, Elizabeth, I'd love to know more about you. I think having an expectation of a 5 or 6% return is not a terrible one. It's even probably pretty likely if you are a long-term balanced investor. However, there's something really nice about having a stream of income with promised payments. Much of this boils down to how much other money you have, because you're absolutely right. That stream of payments, while it can give you peace of mind, means that you've lost the access to the money. And so in some respects, you have to really weigh whether or not you want to give up that flexibility, not only for your heirs, but also for you during your life. So please follow up with us, Elizabeth, with a few more details, like how much other money you have. And gosh, we'd love to have you on the air live with us. I think that would make for a really good conversation because this is a very important question. So many others have similar questions just like this. That is the end of the hour. It's the Jill on Money Show. If you've got a question, go to jillonmoney.com. While you're there, you can check out all of our gorgeous content that lives there. We have got a blog. We have other programs. We have podcasts. We have videos. We have resources. And we have the free weekly newsletter. Check it out. It's all at the jillonmoney.com website. We'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions, and we do that by directing you to our website, jillonmoney.com. That is where all of our stuff lives, jillonmoney.com. Just bookmark it. You'll always want to go back. We refresh this content all the time. And we've got a Contact Us button wherever you are on the website. That Contact Us button will follow you. Maybe you're reading a blog post and it jars a question from you. We'd love to hear from you. So you click the Contact Us button, you write your note, that's an email that we receive, and if you'd like to join us live on the program, just check the box, and the most fantastic thing happens. Mark Talercio, who is the best executive producer in the world, will do everything else for you. Amazing, right? Hey, while you're on the website, I'd love for you to check out our YouTube show, which is called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. This is a video show where we're doing so many fun interviews and short form, long form. We're experimenting. It's been really great. And you can also check out all the wonderful content that lives under the Compound brand, including my friends Michael Batnick and Josh Brown's show called The Compound and Friends. It's a deeper dive into investments, and I think you'll really like it. Right now, let's get to an email from Ben, who is 61 and single. And Ben says, I currently have $1 million in a managed IRA account, $1 million in a self-managed IRA account. That's funny. You can kind of decide who's better at it. $200,000 in a managed Roth IRA, $200,000 in a managed brokerage, and then another $250,000 in cash and high-yield money market and CDs. Okay, question. Should I switch from managed to self-managed and invest in index funds to reduce the costs? That's number one.
I can add $2,000 a month to my non-managed brokerage account. Should I put it in a stock index or just keep it in a high-yield money market or a CD? And number 3 is I believe I'm okay from a retirement savings perspective. Am I correct? I have the flexibility to retire anytime from age 63 onwards. Ben, you are amazing. I don't know how much money that you actually spend right now, but I'm presuming that because you are adding $2,000 a month to your brokerage account, that's pretty amazing. It does not seem like you need more money in cash right now, so I don't think that's necessary. You probably, depending on, again, how much money you spend, I'm guessing you probably don't spend that much money because you've accumulated a ton of money. It is absolutely fine. You should be just perfect. Now, of course, you'll wait to claim your Social Security until you're 70 if that's possible for you. I mean, I don't think that that's going to be a problem, but fine. In terms of managed versus self-managed, a couple of things that I would like to at least consider. There may be something nice in not having the worry of having it managed as long as it is managed for tax efficiency. And sometimes I note that when you're having your money managed, it is incredibly important for you to make sure that this is happening. Now, a lot of automatic platforms will do this for you, and it may be worth your while to just double check with the person managing your money that that is happening. In terms of whether you should just invest in index funds to reduce the cost, sure, you could do that, but you've got to make sure that you are comfortable doing this. And, it's funny, you sort of have half and half right now. Maybe you've had plenty of time to manage this on your own. You feel confident in yourself. Then obviously owning index funds and not moving things around too much will help you have efficient investing, right? Because you're not going to create a lot of tax liability. But if you just want to save costs, sure, you can go ahead and switch to all self-managed, but it's all on you, Ben. I don't want you got to be careful. To some degree, I just want to know why you have two accounts, self-manage and manage. And if you don't trust yourself with all the money, it's okay to pay for help. It really is. All right. Our next email is from Amy, and the subject is tax loss harvesting. And Amy writes, "Hi there. I'm wondering if you would be willing to tell me about tax loss harvesting. How does it work? What are the pros and cons? My husband and I are in our early 50s. We don't have any kids, no debt, homeowners, and feel like we're in very good shape for retirement in terms of savings." She goes on to write, "We have about $600,000 in a brokerage account at Vanguard. It's invested primarily in index funds. An advisor at TIAA recently suggested that we should consider tax loss harvesting for this brokerage account to minimize capital gains and taxes. What do you think? How does this work? Are there disadvantages to doing this? Thanks." Okay, I love this question, Mark. Man, this is a great, great question, because I think that many people really do confuse tax loss harvesting with rebalancing. And they can take place at the same time. But essentially, what you're trying to do is you've got to look at your taxable brokerage account, and you're trying to see where there are losses in this account. So if you have a loss, so let's kind of like play this out. It's very hard to imagine this because markets have sort of gone straight, feels like they've gone straight up for the last year and a half. But let's go back to 2022 and explain how this might work. In the year 2022, we know that stocks went down. And for a lot of people, some of the positions in their accounts, in their taxable accounts, showed losses. So the reason why we say tax loss harvesting is that what we say is let's sell any loser in your account right now. And we can also sell that against a winner. So if you've got a gain, a loss of $10,000 in one position, a gain of $10,000 in another position, and you sell those out both, you have net neutral taxes, but you have an extra $20,000 to reallocate. So if you have more losses than you have gains, then what you're allowed to do is carry forward your losses in the future. So maybe you say, this year, I'll take all the losses this year, And I don't even have to take the gains. I just want to take the losses and reinvest. But I'll have the loss available to me in the future if I want to take a gain against that. If you have more losses than gains, you can also take up to $3,000 against your ordinary income. So it's kind of great. The reason why so many people love this strategy, and we do sort of conflate tax loss harvesting with rebalancing, is that when you do this, usually most people would do this tax loss harvesting at the end of the year, like once a year at the end of the year. You can use your tax losses or those positions or the dollars you freed up from doing this to actually put your portfolio back in the balance that is really according to your own allocation. So I think it's a great idea. I think in a taxable brokerage account, tax loss harvesting can be really smart once a year. And I think that's it. So I would check that out. And I'll tell you what, Amy, if you have a question and you want to follow up with us and we want to talk about what's going on inside that brokerage account, maybe you follow up and come on the air with us, because I'd love to take a look at that. And I hope that helps for everyone who's interested in tax loss harvesting, again, for taxable accounts.
If you have a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. If something's going on in your life and it impacts your financial life, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. You write your email, we'll get it, and we do read these on the air from time to time, although we love talking to you live. Just make sure if you want to join us live that you check the box. Mark will do everything else. While you're on the website, please check out our free weekly newsletter. Mark does a great job every single week compiling stories you may have missed throughout the week while you're doing your real life stuff. And it's a nice warm up for our show this weekend. So I love the free weekly newsletter. You can get it. Just sign up at JillOnMoney.com. Okay, right now, let's take an email. This is from Lee.
Lee writes, I need clarification on rules for withdrawal from a Roth. I am single and my 24-year-old son is launched. I supported him alone his first 18 years, and now it's time for me. It's me time, Lee. My income plan hinges on using Roth dollars from age 63 to 65 before Medicare, and then again from 65 to 70 as non-taxable income so I can do further conversions. Okay, so let's get this down. Lee's going to be 60 this fall, would like to retire in the following year. Lee rents a nice apartment, $2,000 a month all in. I'm priced out of the market unless a 55 plus condo complex comes up. They run, well, who cares? We should not doing that right now. Okay. I have $150,000 in a fund to buy a home in treasuries and high yield savings. If I don't buy before I retire, then I will throw the money into the market as a long-term care healthcare fund. All right. So just remember that, gang, 150 grand set aside for a potential purchase in a condo complex. This seems like a bad idea, just to be clear. I know your rent goes up every year. It's not going up 10% every year forever. It just went up 10% a year for the last few years. But, you know, $300,000 for a condo, $2,400 of taxes, plus an HOA, a homeowners association fee of $275 a month, which, by the way, will also go up like 10% a year. I don't think that's going to happen, but okay. We got 150 grand set aside. Right now, there's some money in a 401k, 16 grand in a Roth 401k, 67,000 in a traditional 401k. In an investment company Roth IRA, I have $185,000. The first contribution was in 2009. So she put $92,000 in, and then there was a conversion for $45,000 and then earnings. Then there is a traditional IRA, which has $770,000. There's another, so now we have another Roth IRA, a brokerage account of $15,000. That's separate from the 150. Okay, so now there are 401k contributions that are planned and, for the next couple of years. And then at age 65 to 69, take out $50,000 a year and stay what is under the IRMAA earnings bracket, meaning Lee's going to take out enough money that she stays under this threshold that would incur some extra costs for Medicare. Okay. If my required minimum distributions are too high in the future or I don't need the funds, I will just do qualified charitable distributions, $55,000 in emergency funds, and then a bunch of stuff. Okay. She's got pensions also. Pension of $565 a month goes down to $500 at age 70. Then another pension with no COLA. It's a lot of money, and Social Security and all this stuff. Okay. So let me just start by saying this. Lee is in amazing shape. This is a little bit of extra work that I don't think you need to make yourself crazy about, but you seem to want to. So I'm going to go just dive in. I am not clear why you are pulling money out of the Roth accounts. I don't quite get it. I see that you would like to minimize future taxes, but I really don't get why you are so apoplectic about IRMAA. I don't get it at all. And in fact, I don't even see why. I'm not sure why you're necessarily putting money and moving stuff and converting stuff. I don't think you really need to do that. I just want to say one more time. Ed Slott pointed this out to us. It is so true. People are insane about IRMAA. If you are single and you earn less than $103,000 this year, you have no surcharge. If you make between $103,000 and $129,000, do you know how much that IRMAA is that you're so desperate to avoid? It's like $1,000 for the year. Okay. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Lee, I'd love to see. This is when I really want you on the air because I want to know why you're so nutty about this. You've got so much money that you've saved and you have done a good job raising the kid. So why not just pull this money out slowly but surely, stay in a decent tax bracket? You're going to stay under the 22% bracket probably, or maybe 24%. But really? This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. You don't need to do this. Okay. This is from Ray. Here comes Irma. Here we go. Ray writes, I'm planning to sell a rental condo in California next year after the taxes. So the rentals, when you have a rental gang, you sell it. It's not just a capital gain that you have to pay. You have to recapture the depreciation that you have claimed over the years for that rental property. Okay, so let me go on to Ray. So after the taxes and the recapture and capital gains and California ordinary income, the question is, the real kicker will be the IRMAA Medicare bump for me and my wife. Can you find out, since the condo is in my name? Oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry. This is great. I bet that this is like a real rental, like a real number that he didn't say how much the condo is sold for. But basically, should they be married filing separately since his income will exceed his wife? Thanks, Ray. Ray, take a deep breath. Pay the IRMAA for 1 year, and then you don't have to pay it ever again. 1 year. That's all we're talking about. Gang, come on. It's something about this IRMAA that really freaks people out. IRMAA is about modified adjusted gross income, right? Just to be clear, I'm just going to read what this says. For IRMAA, modified adjusted gross income is defined as AGI plus tax-exempt interest and untaxed foreign income Medicare uses the MAGI, the MAGI, reported on the federal tax return from 2 years ago. For example, to determine whether someone will pay higher premiums for 2024, Medicare uses 2022. So just so you're clear, the tax return that you're going to file this year will be used to calculate IRMAA for the year 2026. Okay? So listen, I don't know why you're making yourselves so crazy about this. What I'm hopeful is that like you made a ton of money on this condo. Do I really think it's going to be worth filing separately? Probably not. And I presume that there's some way that the government will find out about it, but maybe they won't, but you're going to have to still file separately. And that's a pain in the neck in and of itself. Anyway, I would talk to a tax preparer to see if that's something that you can do. I would never in a million years take on this project of avoiding your IRMAA. It just doesn't make sense. Mark, you have anything else to say about IRMAA?
With the same thing I always say, it's a good problem to have. Would you prefer the alternative?
Yes. It's like you made some money. It's okay. Okay, everything's going to be just fine. If you've got something going on in your life, maybe you're trying to think about a big decision. Maybe you're thinking about buying a house or selling a house. Maybe you're thinking about, should I send my kids to a fancy private school? Or maybe should I save that money because they'll need to go to college someday? Whatever's going on, we'd love to hear from you. Just go to jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. If you want to join us live, check that box. We'll be right back.
401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show. Right now, let's get to a question. This is from listener Mary, who writes, I love listening to your show and how you objectively unwrap guests' financial situations to reveal if they can accomplish their goals. So Mary goes on to write, I'm in my mid-40s. I'm a single mother of 2 elementary-age kids. I've saved $1.2 million in retirement accounts. Oh my gosh, she's only in their mid-40s. She's got $180,000 in a brokerage account. Her kids have fully funded 529 accounts that would cover a 4-year state school. And Mary's house is fully paid off. It's worth about $500,000. Okay, she goes on to write, I make $150,000 a year, and I would like to scale back to working 2 versus 3 days a week at age 55. My monthly expenses are $8,000 a month and should decrease to $7,000 a month when the kids go off to college. My Social Security benefit at my full retirement age is $4,000. I have no debt. Okay, I think this is the question. I'd like to do some renovations to my home and add a pool, but I wanted to know if I should work more to increase my pay, which is feasible in my line of work, or if I can afford to use my brokerage account to fund the renovations. I'd love your advice on this. Thank you so much. Well, Mary, first of all, it looks like you are in very good shape. I mean, to be in your mid-40s with over $1 million in retirement accounts and having that big fat brokerage account, it's all great. I wish I had you on the air with me live because I want to understand if increasing the amount of work you do is a real burden or not. Ideally, I would love for you to do some combination of working a little bit more and also drawing down on the brokerage account. Again, I don't think that it is impossible to draw the brokerage account down, but I don't know how much we're talking about. Are we talking about completely depleting the account? If that's the case, then at some point you want to replenish it. And I don't know if that's better off done now or whether it's better off done in a few years. So I think that all of this is quite doable. I think we want to know, are you thinking about $180,000 of renovations in a pool? If that's the case, then at some point you want to actually make sure you get that money
into a brokerage account to help you afford that slowdown in your work life in your 50s. But if it's just a fraction of it, if you're saying, oh, I only need 80 grand total, then go ahead, do it. So I think it works. But if you'd like to follow up, then please do so. We'll bring you on the air. It's not a problem. Okay, our next note is from Phoebe, who writes that she's been listening to the podcast for a while and she thanks us for what we do. That's very nice. And she also says she's learned a lot from the shows, but she's not brave enough to come on in person yet. So easy. You can change your name. It's not a big deal. All right. She says, we're a couple, 52 and 54. We live in Southern California. My job may be ending soon in a year because the company's not doing well. Oh my gosh, she made 380 grand in 2023. Her husband is self-employed and made $150,000 last year. We have 2 children. One is launched. The younger one is 19 and is a sophomore in college. In retirement savings, check this out, gang. This is a big number. 401k and IRA combined for $3.4 million. Of that 3.4, almost $600,000 is Roth. The rest is pre-tax. There's $52,000 in an HSA, $80,000 in a 529 plan, cash of about $58,000, and a big brokerage account, $613,000. Yearly expenses run at about $100,000 after taxes. All right, let's see where we are. They save $30,000 each in their 401ks, because they're over 50, and $35,000 in an after-tax 401k for her. They also contribute the full amount for a family HSA. Their Social Security at their full retirement ages of 67 would be about $3,500 and $3,300. They've got 4 rental properties in addition to their primary residence. Yowza, that's a lot of work. Okay, the primary is worth $2 million. The remaining mortgage balance, $464,000 at an interest rate of 2.75% for 30 years. The 3 rental properties, each worth about $800,000, one worth $1 million, very low mortgage rates, and the mortgage amount about $1.3 million. They're all cash flow positive. When they look at all 4 of those together, they must be after all the expenses. They make about $27,000 a year. My question is, if I were to lose my job next year, can I just retire? My husband will continue the business for a few years. He'll make about the same amount of money. We would like to help our children financially in a meaningful way, say by helping with down payments of their home purchases in the future, but we want to enjoy what we've built. We've been saving for so many years and working in very demanding jobs. Do you think we can pull the plug? I think you can. I think that it is also worth considering whether or not you should keep all 4 of these properties, because it seems to me that you have a lot of money that is kind of set in equity in these rental properties, and they're generating good money, not great money. So I would be very critical in your analysis of whether each of these rental properties is worth keeping. You know, I know altogether you're giving me the number, but maybe one is not performing as well as the next. And maybe you could use that extra money to add to your brokerage account because you are in your 50s. If you want to meaningfully help your kids, I think that that's going to have to be sort of a question mark. I don't mean that you can't. I just mean that it's so far in the future, it's hard to know. So if you're really freaked out about that, then go get another job. But at the meantime, I think you got a lot of money. You've got a lot of equity in your rental properties, and you don't spend that much. So I think you should be fine. And I would certainly encourage you to take a deep breath after you leave this job and see what else is out there. I mean, you are young also. So I don't know if calling it quits right now is really going to be what gets your yayas out. That's the other thing, okay? Just to keep that in mind, all right?
Are you wrestling with a big financial decision? Give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show. We are here answering financial questions from you. If you've got one, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. If you'd like to join us live, check that box. Mark does everything else. Don't forget to check out all the content that lives at jillonmoney.com, including that free weekly newsletter and our subscription service, which for $35 for the next 12 months, you will be entitled to join us for 4 live webinars. You'll have special video content, and you can go back and look at all the stuff that you missed when you weren't a member. All that for $35 for 1 year. What a deal. Okay, right now, this is an email. It's from Tori.
Jill, it would be helpful if you were to do a segment on I-bonds. I, like many others, purchased them in 2021 and 2022 as a hedge against inflation. I haven't purchased any new ones since CD rates are better, but should I ride out the 5-year hold period to avoid forfeiting any interest, or just get out now? I don't need the money, but if there's a better option that's relatively safe, I'm interested. Love, love, love the show. I think Mark's going to maybe have a different opinion about this, but since he's not here right now, I'm going to go for it. I think just wait the 5 years, because I think what's going to happen is that CD rates, they are going to probably be coming down in the future. And if you really just don't want anything risky, this is your real safe money, the only alternative I would say is selling them and putting the money in, say, a 10-year bond or a 5-year bond, a government bond. But other than that, if we're just talking about I-bonds to CDs, I'm not sure I would do that. Okay, this is from Deirdre, who says, I'm on the fence about whether I should invest in index funds or in a higher interest CD. Deirdre, come on, those are two different animals. We're talking about risk and no risk. Let's find out about her. She's 60 years old. She's going to work until she's 67. I'm generally a low to moderate risk investor. Already, I think low risk, then index funds, not so hot. Okay. I would like to continue to grow my money with minimal risk. Everyone getting the message here? Moderate, low risk, minimal risk. Keep saying this. $30,000 right now that she has is available to invest from a regular savings account. Any suggestions would be appreciated. Okay. Deirdre, I need to know way more about you. What is this money for? When do you think you might need it? If you are really freaky about risk, and this is money that you would really hate to lose, then go out and buy yourself a long-term CD and call it a day. Don't worry about it. But if this is money that you hope to grow over time and you don't need it for 10 or 20 or 30 years, well, then I might say let's put in a nice mix of index funds and don't mess with it. But given your words, and I take your words very seriously, low to moderate risk investor, I would like to grow my funds with minimal risk. That to me suggests that putting your money at work in the stock market would be really detrimental. I just think you wouldn't be able to handle it. Okay, this note is from Ed, who writes, I have enjoyed your show for several years, and I've also watched you on CBS for many years. I listen to many people on the show who are fortunate to have generous pension plans. When I was offered a pension plan, I decided to cash it in rather than take the monthly pension because I would only take the pension if I chose it with the spousal benefits, meaning that I would not get 100% of the monthly payments, but my wife would have some income if I were to die. In doing research before my decision, I learned that many people take the full monthly singular payout because they may not have a significant amount of retirement savings. But of course, this can be dangerous if the spouse with 100% monthly pension benefit dies soon after retirement. That is so true. Oh, Ed writes, oh, this is terrible. Unfortunately, my wife passed away in March after being diagnosed with AML in November of last year. She was in perfect health her entire life. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. And it was a cold reality when her Social Security and small pension were stopped immediately the following month. It basically cut our retirement income in half. Fortunately, I'm somewhat comfortable financially. I can manage with the decreased income. But I would assume that the combination of an unexpected loss of a loved one and also the loss of income can be devastating to many people, especially if they are not prepared. It's just a cold reality that people need to take into consideration when they are planning for their golden years. Ed, I can't thank you enough for writing this. Oftentimes we'll hear from you guys and you'll say, oh, should I take the 100% option or should I take 50% survivor? And I think that Mark will always pop in and say, if it's not that different, if it's a few $100s a month and your spouse can get 100% of the income for the spouse's whole life, if you get this amount of money for your whole life and then your spouse gets the same amount of money for however long they live, that's a really good trade-off for a lot of people. And I do think that these terrible surprises in life are reminders that some of the big decisions we make that are, they're these big decisions that are irrevocable. You can't go back and change them. They're so important. So if you have a big decision like that that's looming, get in touch with us. Go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button and let us know if we can walk you through that decision and think through how the pension option or whatever option you're considering might play out for you, but also your spouse.
If you would like us to weigh in on something going on in your life, go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the show, how about an email? This one is from Shirley, who writes, I have a traditional IRA and other investments with one firm. I have a Roth IRA with a different firm, and I've got more investments with a third firm. I'm considering moving the Roth into one of the other firms, but that would put my total investments with either firm over $750,000. I'm 74 years old. Is it wise to consolidate? What about FDIC coverage for amounts over $750,000? Okay, I think we need a few definitions here. So first of all, FDIC coverage limits. Let's talk about that. The standard deposit insurance amount is $250,000 per depositor per insured bank for each account ownership category. So if you've got an investment account, an IRA, and a Roth IRA, that would be $250 each. And this is insurance against bank failures, not about investment losses. It's if your institution goes broke, the FDIC insurance would cover you $250,000 per account. Now let's talk about SIPC coverage, which is the Securities Investor Protection Corporation. Now, SIPC protects against the loss of cash and securities like stocks and bonds held by a financially troubled member brokerage firm, meaning if the firm itself goes broke, SIPC protection is $500,000, which includes $250,000 for cash. So I don't know if this is really an issue for you based on the types of accounts you have, but more importantly, if you are working with a big brokerage company, a well-established one, I don't think consolidating will be any problem. I really think consolidation is the way to go. It makes your life so much easier. So if you need help with that, get back in touch with us. I really would love to help you out, Shirley. Okay, that is it. That is the program. We are so delighted that you join us every single weekend. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and king of all things web, and we encourage you to lift someone up. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.